The Savage Hawkman, number 4, written by Tony S. Daniel, art by Philip Tan. We left off last issue with Morpheus coming back to life because Hawkman brought in part of his plague that was disguised as a coworker, I guess, something like that. This issue is going to go real quick because it's all pretty much just one extended fight scene. Hawkman and Kane, Dr. Kane's assistant, Askana, who is also a reptilian alien acrobat lady, are both fighting off Morpheus, as well as this horde of weird plague demon shadow zombie things he can create. I guess I didn't realize that was part of his power set, but it's literally all around him. And they're just getting outclassed on every side. And as Hawkman is wailing on Morpheus with his mace, Askana jumps in and is like, hey, maybe stop using the nth metal weapon, because every time you do, he absorbs a little bit of your nth metal, and that's bad. And he's like, well, the judge in the hologram said that there was a way to stop Morpheus. And it's like, cool, what did he say? And Hawkman's like, I don't know, I didn't get that far, as he's like pulled down into the horde of shadow demon zombie things. One quick point, Morpheus does mention that quote, you will feed my army your filthy Thanagarian nth metal, to which Hawkman specifically says, what the hell's a Thanagarian? So that's going to come up at some point. Elsewhere in the facility, Dr. Kane's trying to escape. He stops by some cryogenic pods of some sort and lets out the Waker, which was that bald alien from like issue 2, and he's like, hey, Waker, wake up. I need you to tell me how to stop the plague. And he's like, oh, you're an idiot for bringing it back. He's like, shut up. I order you, tell me how to stop it. We go back down into the fight. Askana's just jumping around like, all right, well, for every one of their heads I take off, like 50 of them grow. So I'm not doing much good here, Hawkman. And she starts getting dragged down into the pit. Hawkman somehow got out of the pit just off panel. So he grabs her, pulls her up over the fight, and it's like, all right, need a new plan then. What do we do? He's like, well, we're going to have to take out Morpheus first, and hopefully these things will all just go away. He apparently needs a human host, which I don't think has been a thing in this entire series, but whatever. So he's currently without a human host, and he's going to try to absorb Dr. Kane and use him as his human host. So Kane's currently trying to escape via helicopter on the roof. He's holding his briefcase tight still. I don't know what's in it, but, it's his briefcase. And Morpheus busts in, and he's like, hey, Dr. Kane, I'm going to take your body. And Dr. Kane's like, no, I'm your god, and I will strike you down. And she just tries to shoot him. Does nothing. And as Morpheus, begins absorbing, his life energy. It's a bunch of purple energy. I don't know what it means. Hawkman swoops in, and all of a sudden now he's able to fight him and start winning. He's not completely outclassed. I don't know what changed. I think it's literally this quote here. Lucky for you, I give a damn about that. Talking about not dying. So anyway, he's beating up that guy. He's like, hey, by the way, I figured out what your weakness was. Despite the fact the judge definitely didn't say it, I figured out what it was. It's extreme cold, because you were down in the cold ocean, and that kept you imprisoned that whole time. Right? Yeah? Cool. So because they're in the cryo tube room or whatever, he just pulls one of the tubes for the cryogenic freezing, and he freezes Morpheus, and then that's the end of it. Morpheus is defeated. He's officially on ice, and that's, I guess, all we needed. Waker's nearby, and he's like, hey, you contain Morpheus, good job, but you need to stop Kane, who's currently on the roof. And Hawkman's like, who the hell are you? And he's like, my name's Waker, I'm a friend, we'll talk later, just go. And he's like, all right, bye. And specifically, Waker says how I hold your key, Qatar Hall, spelled Katarhol, so he knows something else as well. So Kane's in the helicopter, but of course that doesn't stop Hawkman. He just flies up, pulls off the door, grabs the briefcase, and says, all right, you're free to go, bye. And then a few days later, cut to Emma and Carter are just talking in their civilian, well, I mean, his civilians. She's always in civilians. And they're just basically saying, like, oh, you've finally decided to stick around, Carter? You're paying your rent and whatnot? He's like, yeah, I figured I'd stick around for a while, maybe get to actually doing my job. You know, just need a few days to clear my what? And as he looks around the street, everyone he sees are zombies. Sure. Why not? Just, yeah, that's fine. This felt like such an abrupt ending to the entire Morpheus thing. It's like, the last issue, he was literally, like, not alive and had no ability to do anything. And then this issue, he was brought back to life at the end of last issue. But then this issue, they're just like, oh, by the way, we figured out your secret. How? I don't know. But you're afraid of the cold, so it's like, all right. It felt like they were just like, all right, this isn't working out. Wrap up the arc. Moving on to zombies. Which I guess, sure, whatever. I'm going to give this one a 6. It's fine. Like, it wraps it up well, and I like how it's taken the time real quick to just be like, okay, Thanagarian, Qatar Hole. Like, we're setting things up for the future here instead of just dropping it on me later. But you know what I really liked for them to set up more? How the hell Carter figured out the whole cold thing. That would have been nice. So, yeah, it has its issues, but I'm still giving it a 6. The art's very pretty. I have no problem with that, though. So, writing-wise, art-wise, cool.